we are joined by Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor, former diplomat, joining us from New Delhi. Pathikrit Payne, international affairs expert, also live from here in New Delhi. Ambassador Kapoor, I wanted to come to you first. This lawsuit says Trump's US aid cuts are illegal. Do you think these unions have a strong case?
Thank you, Joshua. It is a very important, development which has happened. The USAID, while it has been doing a lot of good work in a large number of countries and in all the continents, a lot of the system has also been leveraged and utilized by the vested interests in the US for promoting their interests in terms of, the CIA has infiltrated part of the system. We had seen this earlier in the US Peace Corps, when the Peace Corps operations had to be completely closed down in India. And that was a very big setback for the Peace Corps efforts globally, and they had to scale down, completely shut down operations globally because of the actions taken by India of expelling all the Peace Corps workers from India. Now, similar things have happened over time with the USAID. USAID is part of the State Department infrastructure, and we have seen that, in the last term, when Trump was president earlier, he had tried to tackle the deep state. He had tried to tackle the elements within the State Department and other ministries and departments of the government of USA in terms of, getting them into sync with the US global objectives as defined by him. But that was an effort which he made too little and too late. So this time he's starting out very early. And sometimes we have seen in our entire, careers that when an organization gets corrupted significantly, because I've been in Washington now for over a decade. I've interacted very closely with USAID officers. Most of them are very fine and outstanding officers. And some of them have themselves said that the entire system is so corrupted from the inside that it is very difficult to set it right. So when a system has broken down so completely and its objectives have been so distracted and disrupted, and you are working in collaboration, for example, with the George Soros Foundation, which is disrupting democracies globally. You're working in coordination and collaboration with the intelligence agencies, which are not really interested in fostering development work, but more interested in destabilizing or geopolitics. We have seen what the USAID has done in Bangladesh. I've learned that USAID has also done similar sort of disruptive interventions in Myanmar, with which I'm very closely invested, in terms of giving training to the rebels and encouraging them against the established government there. So when a system like that is completely sort of taken over by elements, while a large portion of the USAID funds would still be used for good purposes and positive purposes, yet the amount which is being used, even in India, we have seen they have been supporting human rights studies, human rights conferences, human rights seminars. Now, for an organization which is supposed to foster development, to encourage and fund activities like the farmers' protests or the anti-CAA riots or the newspaper media organizations which are provoking the people against the government. Even the Hungarian foreign minister has recently said that it's a very good thing that the Trump administration has done. So I think overall it will be good now that the scaling down of the base operations and the career, people within, it's part of the foreign service establishment. So many of the people who opt for aid activities, they go into USAID. So with 300 officers, the skeletal staff now, it'll be easier to build up a new organization and put it in a format that it does not get disrupted or corrupted easily. Back to you, Joshua.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for joining us. I want to move to Pathikrit Payne now. Trump obviously stopped US foreign aid on his very first day in office. What does this tell us about his priorities, and what impact is this going to have on people around the world?
Well, I think first and foremost, President Trump, we may agree or disagree with many of his policy decisions, but on this particular issue of the kind of cleaning that he is doing, I think he is doing a great service to the world, because there are a lot of activities across the world which were done in the name of development, which were being funded in the name of goodwill by organizations like USAID. But in reality, those activities had a very, very nefarious agenda. I'll tell you something. February 4, 2025, Department of State came out with a tweet which stated that USAID has long strayed from its original mission of responsibly advancing American interest abroad, and it is now abundantly clear that significant proportion of USAID funding are not aligned with the core national interest of United States. Now, USAID is alleged by Robert Kennedy Jr. to be a front of CIA, and he talked about this in one of the interviews that in Ukraine during 2024, when at that time $5 billion was spent by USAID and other organizations for a regime change, and 1 month before even 1 month before the legitimate democratic government was ousted, Victoria Nuland had the cabinet list ready for the next government. There are strong allegations about role of USAID in funding a particular scientist in Wuhan Institute of Virology. There are strong allegations of human trafficking being done by certain organizations funded by USAID. USAID has even had connection with an organization which was closely linked to Falaya Insaniya Foundation, which is nothing but a front of Lashkar-e-Toiba.
Patrick, could I just interject? Many countries depend on USAID for health, food, and disaster relief, including environmental efforts that body put in. Critics say that this is going to lead to a global crisis. How bad could the consequences possibly be, and which countries do you think might suffer the most?
Well, let me put it bluntly. No country will suffer because USAID has been curtailed or dismantled. There are vested interests who would suffer, like the types of RSF, Reporters Sans Frontiers. They say that it would have an impact on journalism. I don't know what kind of journalism depends on USAID. There are countries deliberately kept poor so that they keep on depending on USAID funding. I do not believe that any country worth the name will suffer because of USAID. There was ample opportunity for USAID to do real developmental work in Africa. If they had genuinely done it, Africa would have been a developed country. So it's only those who have been paid by USAID to do activities in the name of development, in the name of welfare, they would be having their purses constrained. Apart from that, I do not believe any major country worth the name would suffer. If USAID was supporting Falaya Insaniya Foundation, which is a front of Lashkar-e-Toiba, then of course you may say that Pakistan will suffer.
Patrick, can I interject once again, please? I want to ask you about one man, Elon Musk. He supports this cost-cutting plan. Why do you think he backs this move?
United States genuinely want democracy to survive. It should not work, with certain elements who believe in regime change games. And USAID was funding such organizations which believes in regime change, as Ambassador Kapoor mentioned, George Soros Foundation. I strongly support Elon Musk in what he is doing because, number one, taxpayers' money of United States cannot be used like this. One of the reasons why so many people across the world hate United States, and it has been stated by a person called Glenn Beck, who is the CEO of Blaze Media, that one of the reasons that so many people around the world hate United States is because of the activities of the likes of USAID, where you enter a country in the name of development, welfare, and then you spread radical leftist ideology. In my country, India, I have seen the kind of poison that has been spread in the name of democracy. You call a democratically elected government in India as fascist majoritarian government. You do all kinds of activities to promote, subversive organizations. You promote separatist institutions, you support the Khalistanis, and then you say that, I'm doing it for the betterment for the world. I refuse to believe organizations like USAID or those who want to defend them. I support what is being done because it will help the world to become a better place to live in. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Patrick Payne, for joining us.